everybody. I hope everybody is doing good. I wasn't planning to come on today. I have that conference at the local church we're going to, but I could not let this go without coming on and letting everybody know that we're safe. I think that this was kind of a metaphor for life. There were storms about an hour away from us. There were several that did touch down. There were some lives lost. And it was a little nerve-wracking last night, but I pulled out my crochet hooks. I let people know that we were okay. People reached out to me tremendously and let me know, are you okay? We wanted to make sure you're okay. And that's really, honestly, the power of connection. And I thought, I can't let this go without making you all know that we're safe. I still have a roof over our head, and our house is intact, and we're intact, more importantly. But, I really thought about it last night, and I thought, you know what? I could have lost everything. And yet I know that I have so many blessings in my family and my friends that are there. And as the storm was progressing and things were happening last night, my anxiety got a little up there, and I just pulled out those crochet hooks. I was on the lifeboat last night. I was connecting with people who reached out and say, are you okay? Want to make sure you and your family are okay. And that distracted me from the storm that was happening outside. And it really didn't rain too much here. And, it was just a lot of lightning and a little bit of thunder and so forth. And watching the storm on radar, was not going to help me. My husband was, keeping an eye on everything. But I wonder how often in life we have a storm that we're going through and we stay quiet and we don't reach out and say, I'm going through something. Can my friends come beside me and help me? And so I thought, I cannot go and not do this live today, and make sure after last night that you all know that we're safe. And so forth. Like I said, I wasn't planning to do, because I've got that that conference today, and so, but I thought I needed to let you all know that we were okay, and just be praying for the people that they've lost their homes and they've lost family members in the storm last night. So give me just a second, y'all. Hi, my other's keeper. And she will be doing trivia later today. Unfortunately, I will have to not partake this time, because I have that conference. So it kind of, we need to be leaving here about 5 o'clock, and I have to start getting ready, and I have to go have my dinner early. So I need to take care of that, and so it's just not going to work today. But she will be having trivia. And so go on her channel. I will put her channel here. Go on her channel and have some fun this afternoon. I will be on next week. So there's her channel to go. She will be doing trivia in a little while. So I will miss you all this week. But the conference is really, I enjoyed it tremendously last year. It took a lot out of me. What I did was I actually brought my crochet hooks and just crocheted away, because sometimes, good morning, Mona. Sometimes sitting for long periods of times can be painful, and sometimes it can be tiring. So if I don't keep my hands busy with something, I tend to go, and not on purpose. It's just because either I'm sitting there in pain or I'm hurting. So I tend to, especially not necessarily tonight, because it should go from 6 to 9, and then we have to get up tomorrow, and it should go from 8 to like 8:30, 9 o'clock to noon, and then it'll have lunch, and then we're back at 1 to 3, and usually the afternoon is pretty, like, you're tired, just tired, because you're absorbing so much information. So Last year I brought my crochet hooks and you know what? And my yarn to work on stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care what anybody thinks. Everybody's going to think you should be opening your Bible and writing notes. And that's wonderful for people, for some, but it's not. I absorb 10 times more when my hands are busy. Boulder Dash today. Bring a paper and a small writing board. Okay, well, good. We'll have to do that again when I can be there. Though you're welcome. That's what I thought. I've got to come on. Hi, Miss Dragon. Well, listen, but please be safe. Don't fly too fast down that freeway. And so I'm like, I don't care if everybody looks and thinks, well, you should be in the Bible and you should be writing notes and you should be doing this and you shouldn't be crocheting. Well, that's not how my mind works. I will absorb everything 10 times more just by sitting and listening. And my mother, hi Sandy Wendy, my mother will do all the notes for me. She does wonderful notes, but it's just not for me. I'm like, just like audio. Give it to me all audio. I'm going to absorb it. If I need to reference anything, I'll go back to my mom and I will look at her notes, but I will absorb 10 times more if I'm busy with my hands and I'm doing something crochet wise. My husband's the same way. If he's in church, it's not that he's not listening. Sometimes he'll sit there and play a game quietly. I think, and that's just, and my daughter's like, if I don't write notes, then I don't listen. For my husband, him writing notes is difficult. It's not the way his brain works. So if he's focused on a game, he's actually really, really intensely listening and absorbing 10 times more than if he is sitting there writing notes. But to some people, it's disrespectful. But I think that we need to realize every brain works very differently. So I'm going to bring my crochet hooks and I'm going to work on something easy peasy. Last year it was a blanket. This year it's just going to be some scarves that I got to get finished. But, I just wanted people to realize, my husband said yesterday, he said, did you really have to show off our mess in the garage? And all the trash men took all our garbage, which we were surprised. We're like, oh, they're not going to like us. But they took every 7 bag we had. All 7 bags plus our normal trash. Did you really have to show off our mess? I don't like to show people our mess. And I said, yeah, I did. Because I was trying to do a metaphor for life. I was trying to show, hey, here's the mess. Here's our lives sometimes. Do we open our garage door and show everybody it and say, here we go? Here's our mess. Here's what it looks like inside. And I even made a short of it today and said, hey, why is connection so important? Because when our lives are clean or messy or whatever they are, or whatever state they are, your true friends are going to come beside you and help you clean it up or just be there for you. A storm could have come by and done some damage, and I know my friends were going to be there. And I had several people reaching out. And it was, I think Fiona Kristen put on in the lifeboat, anybody in Ohio, Indiana, are they all okay? Yeah. And I was the first one to respond, yes, we're fine, we're safe. Because that's connection. If you just drop into somebody's life when it's pretty, you're not getting to know them. Don't consider them somebody that you can lean on and a friend. You got to drop in when it's clean and neat and organized, and when it's messy and ugly and painful. That's what friends are. They're not just there for when it's all pretty and nice. They often help you get out of the ashes. I've had a house fire. I've been through it. I've seen everything that I've owned burned to smithereens. And I've had to crawl out of those ashes. And let me tell you, I had some family there. That's a story in itself. Wasn't my family. But I'm telling you, my friends were far and few between to find. And I did it pretty much with just a little support beside me, but I can't imagine what would happen now. Did we realize this thing called connection, or did we not get it? I don't think we've begun to realize really the depth of how much connection is life changing. See, I know if I didn't do this, if I didn't do after the storm, our family is okay. Thank you for all your prayers and reaching out last night. Everybody knew I was okay. But how much more is it reassuring that you can see my face and that we're doing this chat today and that there's connection happening and you can see, yes, Mary's okay and her family's okay. Now our prayers need to be with the families that woke up this morning and lost everything. They're an hour away from me. One county, 3 people are no longer here because the storm came through, and there's people that within an instant their life changed. We have those storms in our lives. They don't have to be rainstorms and tornadoes and hurricanes. They can be storms within seconds. Our lives change. That's when you look and say, there's where my friends are. There's where my family is. There's where my support is. See, for me, I don't go through storms in life alone. I never am alone because God is always there through every storm. I went through something in my life a couple months back, and it was quite nerve-wracking, and it was exhausting, and I got through it. And I remember just hearing in the back, I was going through a storm, and God was just saying, Mary, you've got to stop looking down at the water. He walked on water. You got to stop looking down at the water. You've got to hold my hand, because as long as you're focused on me, I'm not going to let you fall in that water. The minute you look at that water, yep, you're going to fall through it because you're not focused on me. Kelly B, 69. I'm great you're listening. And I had to focus, and I had to say, here, God, I can't control this. It's in your hands. Because the minute I stopped focusing on him, I was falling. I was drowning. Last night, my anxiety wanted to go, ooh, just the thought. And we've had some doozies where I live. And somebody said last night, I said, yeah, why do they always have to come at night? Just like babies, they always want to come in the middle of the night. Can't they come during the day when you can see what's happening? How often in life do we not see the storm that's about to come on top of us and either be really mild or change our life forever? And that's when we need connection to be established before the storm even comes. And if we have friends, and I'm putting family in its own category, but there are some family members that only come around when everything's all neat and tidy. I'm talking about the connections you make as friends. If we don't establish those in the times when the sun's shining and the flowers blooming and the birds are singing, then when the rainstorm starts coming and the hail starts coming and the hurricanes start coming and the tornadoes start coming, do we sit there and go, okay? Can we lean on that person? We leaned on them when the sun was shining and the flowers were blooming. But are we going to lean on them when the storm's brewing? My other keeper said my babies came at 9 a.m. and 4 a.m. I started labor with Christina at 1:30 p.m. in the middle of the night. She was born exactly on her due date at 2:30 the next day. I said, did she have a little time clock in there? But I started at night. See, y'all, I will never go through another storm in my life. Ever. I've had my family, and they have been awesome, and they have been amazing, and I'm so grateful for each and every one of them. But I will never do a storm in my life again, and I've had God, always. He's never changing. But the piece of the puzzle that is the fitting part is peer support and connection. I will never go through another storm without having that. Never. It's not happening. And if I can be that friend that can be there at whatever time in the middle of the night to say, yeah, I just need to talk. I've got them peeps now. I can wake my husband up at any time and say, listen, I need to talk. And he'll be there. But sometimes we need, especially I think us women, we need our girlfriends. You know, I was listening to Tommy today as he was talking about, have you ever watched little girls just sit there and laughing and joking and just, you know, just enjoying each other's company? I think us, especially as women, are wired to need that. Men do it differently. Yeah, my other keeper says she's got him too. It's very rare. It's like 5% of women actually deliver on their due date. Listen, we can all talk whatever we need to talk here, and we can laugh. Part of nature. Part of nature. So we're okay. Our family are safe. We got our roof over our head. We emptied the box. Yes. If you were watching the lifeboat, you'll totally understand that comment she put, and I'm not going to say it on here. But yes, we got through 7 bags of trash. We're good. I'm going to go connect with women in our church that are attending a conference. We have a very small church. And so there's a local church that does a big conference of about 600 women. And so we go to that one. So I'm looking forward to that. It will be tiring and exhausting. Usually it was last year. I was just because you just absorb so much. But then I know it'll be so rewarding. And I've got some things that I've crocheted that I'll be bringing along with me to wear. Showing off that a little bit. Just because I like to. But y'all, let's just understand this. When we finally get this connection thing, we're going to be ahead of the curve. We're going to say the lifeboat was doing it first, and then the ripple started afterwards. And it took one man. That was Q. Journey of Faith Conference. I don't remember. I'll have to get the name of it. I'll share a little bit about it when we come back. And I may be taking some notes just to share it with you all. But, you know, it took one man, and that was Q. Q started in prison. He looked at prisoners as diamonds in the rough. Through that, do you think, by any stretch of the means, that Tommy winded up in the same prison as Q by accident? No way. God had a plan and a purpose for Q and Tommy to meet. Because it was life-changing for Tommy. And in essence, it has changed a lot of our lives and now created a ripple effect. It was by no accident. Something, what Tommy went to prison for was not good, but good came out of some kind of terrible situation. Do you think he would be where he is today if he hadn't gone through all the stuff? I think he'd rather have preferred not having to go through it. But he would not be the Tommy we know today. He has a lot of knowledge that he has gained from going through all the ashes. See, I can sit here as a parent of an adult child with special needs. I can sit here with an adult child who has autism. And I can talk about my experience with some knowledge. And it's not going to work for everybody. As a fibromyalgia warrior and survivor, I can talk about that. Do I really like to have it? Absolutely not. I would really prefer if it would go bye bye. Is it going to? No. Do I live the rest of my life with it? Yes. Do I help other people deal with it? Yes. Do I negate the pain that they're going through? Absolutely not. Yep. Whatever is meant for evil, God it means for good. Amen, my other's keeper. I was on a chat one time and I heard, you know what, the fibromyalgia community can be rough on other fibromyalgia or people that are dealing with it. Shame. If I have somebody that's dealing with fibromyalgia, I should be nothing but sympathetic, nothing but understanding, and realize that their experience is going to be different than mine. Have you ever heard that saying that if you put blind men at an elephant's trunk and an elephant's tail and both sides, either side of the elephant, they're all going to feel different things, but they're touching the same elephant. The tail is going to feel different than the trunk, and the sides are going to feel different than the tail. They're going to have different experiences, and that's okay. I think the art of agreeing to disagree has been lost. We can still be friends at the end of it. And goodness gracious, you can help me through the storm, even if we don't agree who's sitting in that White House, or who's in Congress, or who's in Senate, or this, political view, or that religious view. Good night. Life is too short for all that. Or what color skin you are. I mean, if Q had looked at Tommy and said, sorry, I don't deal with anybody but somebody in my own race, do you think Tommy would be where he is today? He may not even be here if it hadn't been for that. We all bleed the same. It doesn't matter what color skin you are. Elvis was doing a concert in Texas. And I forget what year. I think it was in the 60s. His backup band for the ladies was Sweet Inspiration. Now, if those people don't know, Whitney Houston's mother was in that band, or in that group. She was a backup singer for Elvis Presley. And they said, Elvis, you can come, but your Sweet Inspiration band can't be there. You know what he said? Guess what? I'm not coming either. Yeah, God doesn't look at the skin color. He said, I'm not coming. And you know what he did? They backed down. And he went in a car around that stadium. It was like, must have had dirt. I can't remember it. But he went in a car, and you know what was behind him? His girls. The Sweet Inspirations were right behind him. He didn't care one iota. Doesn't matter. You know what matters is who's in the storm of your life to help you get through it. It doesn't matter what color they are. It doesn't matter what political views they are. It doesn't matter what lifestyle they live. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. If they're there in the thick of the storms, as long as they're helping you and not dragging you down, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to agree with everybody here. We're going to have different views. But I have met the most amazing people in the world. By doing this, by being in the lifeboat, no, sorry, I'm never leaving. And hopefully it's many, many, many years down the road before God takes me home. I think I have a lot to accomplish. And I'd like to see them grandbabies one of these days. God has his perfect timing for everything. And I've had to keep saying that to myself. Because I did several shorts and I'm like, man, they've got like 500 views and I should be getting like a lot more subs. And I just keep happening in the back of my head, God saying, Mary, I got you. You're pretty amazing too. So are you, my other keepers. I got you. It's going to happen. I got my timing. Because then you sit there questioning yourself whether you're good at it. And you're sitting there. I sat there for probably about an hour yesterday thinking, do I really open my garage? Do I really show people what's inside it? Ah, it was a great metaphor. You don't have to be okay. You do not have to put a smile on your face. You can tell your friends, I'm having a rough day. They can tell you they are having a rough day. And they can help you somewhat clean up the mess. And as a fibromyalgia patient, if you cannot do certain things and you are tired and you can't get to do it, it's okay. Yeah. It's an amazing story, Mona, about Elvis. I'm going to do a couple of things on him. I'm an Elvis fan, like me or not, for it, but I'm sorry. He'll be one of the things that I go for time and time again for I'll put on my music. I'm an Elvis fan for life. It's not going away. Can't. He's top one on my list. You know what my favorite Elvis song is? It will surprise you. Maybe not really. Mary in the Morning. At least I feel like one song was dedicated to me. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to open that garage. I'm going to make a metaphor for it. I'm going to show people this mess. Looks a lot better. Yep. I know a lot. You know why, my other's keeper? Why I know a lot about Elvis? And I'll send you the video. Sonny West did a 2-hour video about stories about him and Elvis. People can say everything they want about him because he wrote a book and all this kind of stuff. They can say what they want. I took a lot of years of my life enjoying Elvis's music. And then I wanted to go deeper and find out who Elvis was. Because there's two different people. He's on record saying the image is one thing, the man is another. It's very hard to live up to an image. So our image of him is this. But who was Elvis behind the scenes? I have a funny feeling that Elvis Presley, and I'm going to come out and Elvis, all the people that love Elvis are going to go, I can't believe you said that. And I'm going to say it. I believe Elvis Presley was dealing with bipolar. If you really do a deep dive on Elvis, he spent money like crazy. He had, he couldn't hold a relationship, for nothing. He stayed up for days. He had trouble going to sleep. He had insomnia. He would get angry real quick, and then he'd go back down, up and down, and up and down. And I don't think that it was properly diagnosed. So what did he do? He used drugs in order to be able to level him out. He used drugs to get up, and he used drugs to go to sleep. Yep, I think for sure he was an undiagnosed bipolar person. And that to me is an absolute shame. Because if he had been diagnosed properly and dealt with some of them, he was a diabetic, he had glaucoma. I think that he would have still been here. And I think that his life story would have changed differently. But I also believe God brings you here and God takes you home here. And you will be born a certain time and you will leave at a certain time. But he was the most humble man. There's story after story of him just giving the shirt off his back. And there's a lot about Elvis that you see the jumpsuits and you see this and you see that. And it's a show. You don't see the real Elvis. How many of us are really alone? He used to say, I don't go to church Because if I walked into a church, everybody would not focus on the pastor. They're going to focus on me. He didn't walk into a church. He would have loved to walk into a church. He couldn't because of who he was. Everybody knew him as Elvis. He was in his own prison. Yep. They were poorly medicated. Absolutely. Now to offer the YMCA a free bed. Good luck, Miss Dragon. They didn't. They were poorly medicated in what was available at the time. Absolutely, Miss Dragon. Or Miss My Other's Keeper. But take a look at that. If you look at, I'll send you the video. If you look at some of his life, you will see a bipolar individual. Absolutely. 100%. And then it answers a whole slew of questions. How many people are putting masks on? He had a public persona about him, and he had a private persona. But I decided, you know what? I know the public one. I know a lot about the public one, but who's the one behind it? Well, you're going to get off. I love you, girl. Yes. Well, I'm glad. It's nearly 3 a.m. Get some sleep. Get some sleep. Sleep well. Sleep well. But you know what? I started liking Elvis because when I was 12, he had his 10th anniversary of his passing. And he came on, and I thought, oh, he's cute. And even Jerry Reed said, man, he was the cutest, the most handsomest man he had ever seen. And they said even on picture, he was more handsome in person. And that's how I started, getting interested in his music. Through that, I joined an Elvis club. And I was the youngest person in this Elvis club. But in that, I met a woman she was in her 60s. And she became my adopted grandmother. My one grandmother had bipolar. My other grandmother could be very critical. She was somebody that I went to Disney World with. I actually went to Graceland several times with her. And she was my daughter's godmother. She was my adopted grandmother. Her daughter had schizophrenia, and her son was never going to have children. So she was never going to be a grandmother in person or in real life, in life itself. But I could be her adopted granddaughter. And my daughter called her Godma Gail. And she loved my daughter. And she loved me. And I miss her so much. I knew she'd have been so happy with the man that I finally did marry my second time around. But through that, of liking Elvis, became a connection, and I had tremendous connection with a lot of people. And through that, I don't know if I would have. Here's the crazy thing, and I just thought it was like, ding, if I hadn't started liking Elvis, if I hadn't been into his life, I don't know if I'd have gone to AA Ron, because I went on AA Ron because I was interested in the Scientology part, because it's a part of Lisa Marie Presley and Priscilla Presley. And by the way, Elvis went in, he did a little something in there, and he came out. He said, they will never get my money. He was so angry, and he left. They never were able to recruit him. They got the money in a sneaky behind way, but they got the money. But anyway, I wouldn't have necessarily gone on to AA Ron. I wouldn't have been interested in the Scientology part because of Lisa and Priscilla Presley. Would I have found the lifeboat? Probably not. I liked Elvis when I was 12. I'm celebrating my 29th birthday, and I have since I've turned 29. And I'm not changing. But would I have found the lifeboat if I hadn't have been interested in AA Ron and Scientology and Lisa Marie Presley and Priscilla Presley? Probably not. And I wouldn't have found the lifeboat, and I wouldn't have found all these amazing friends, and I wouldn't have found the connection. And I would have been here without having it. And this channel would not be in existence. Do we not realize that God Himself has a plan that we don't often know about? We don't know about it. It just comes in and it's like, wait a minute. How long did that take? I ain't going to tell you the years, but you could guess. And I can look back going, hey, there's another Elvis connection. That has just helped me through my life. Because I wouldn't have popped on. Honest to goodness, I wouldn't have. I was, well, this is a channel for people that are dealing with sobriety. I don't need it. But I wanted to support people that Aaron had on his channel, and I just started listening. And I got fascinated a little bit, and then I started making connections. Now I've made friends that are helping me through the storm. When it's the storm, and when it's like now, it's all sunny and bright, and the flowers are blooming. There's no storm happening now, but there was last night. And where did I turn to? My crochet hook and connection. It kept me calm. And I'm thankful for each and every one of you for your prayers and for just reaching out, making sure that I was safe. People reached out to me today. Are you okay? Is everything okay? Is everything fine? Yes, I'm fine. Thank you. And if it wasn't, I know I'd have an army of people finding a way to help. Because they're there when the sun's out and the grass is growing and the trees are blooming, or the flowers are blooming and the birds are singing. But they're there when the rain starts, depending how heavy it gets, depending how much it destroys. You know, my mom is in her 70s. She's not going to be here forever. And I know when that day happens, man alive, am I going to need you all. I'll have my family. But I know I will have God. But I know, and I know where she's going. But I know when that day happens, I'm going to have my friends there to ride that storm. Because it's going to be a doozy. And I've told my mom she can't leave here till she's 150. We have to make these connections when the waters are nice and calm. So that when they're all swirling around, they're established. It takes 200 hours to make a strong connection. Now, there are some people that, man alive, you just connect with almost instantaneously. But to make those threads and make those connections and get to know somebody, 200 hours. Think about the 200 hours you've spent doing some pretty silly things. I sure can. Things that didn't accomplish anything. I can't tell you how many hours I spent putting Christina, or helping doing all the stuff in the background for Christina's wedding. Was it worth it? Absolutely. Was I exhausted afterwards? Absolutely. I will never look back at the time and regret any of it. The things I should have done sooner and done differently, absolutely. You will never regret spending time connecting with somebody, whether it's here, whether it's in front of around a fire pit, going over and saying, listen, I'm having a barbecue at my house, and throwing some hamburgers and hot dogs on the grill, and everybody else brings some other stuff, and you make it a potluck. Going to church, connecting with people, going over to a friend's house and having a cup of coffee and a cup of tea. The friend that moved recently, I said, listen, I don't know if I can help with much, but if just sitting in a chair while you clean out and declutter and unbox stuff makes things go faster, I will do that. And we'll just chit chat. And I'll come in where I can help. But if you need me sitting on that chair so that the amount of boxes that you have to unload and organize can be done easier and faster and more joyful, then, well, I'm your girl. Well, drive safely, Miss Dragon. I don't know if I'll be in your live today, but if I'm not, you'll know why. Because I have to go in a little bit here and go eat and then get ready and go to our little conference. So, how often are we going to take the time to connect? It should be in our daily repertoire. There's a word for you. It should be in our daily activities to connect. It is in my program to wake up. Now, this morning, I didn't wake up till 11, but my age, and I think my mom said she had them where she had like minor little panic attacks while she was sleeping, going through that time in her life, and I think that unfortunately that's been passed on to me. Thanks, Mom. And so I've had a couple nights of those, and it's crazy because then it happens a couple times, and then like at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, I can sleep for like 5 hours. I just don't understand it. So I put some calming music on. I've been putting some ice behind my neck, and getting old is not for wimps, y'all. It's not. So anyway, but I didn't get on the live with Lightboat, but I watched it today. It's my morning routine. I have my coffee, and if I can, now that he's moved the time, if I can get in the chat, I get in the chat. If not, I watch the replay, and I go through my day. Do I need to do a little bit better job of scheduling it? Yes. But we should not have to schedule when we check in with somebody. Maybe you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to check in with 2 people today. Pick them 2 people that you're going to check in and say, hey, just here to say hello. Here to send you a meme. Here to send you a hug. Here to check, make sure you're okay. 2 people. The next day, you're going to do 2 people. And the next day, you're going to do 2 people. And the next day, you're going to do 2 people. By the end of that month, if you just did and picked 2 people that you're going to connect with every day, that's 60 connections that you have made throughout a month. Huh? 60. And I guarantee you, just say, I don't have 60 friends that I can connect with. Well, I have one place you can start making friendships here. Between the Cracks, My Other's Keeper, The Lifeboat, Reese, Relatable Reese, Chow Yun Smut, depending if you're a night owl. And I know Surviving the Survivor. I think I'm getting Surviving It Together. I'm going to get all these channels. I'm working on it. The Connection Project. Y'all, we got to get our postcards going. I need somebody that's willing to spread the word to everybody they can. Well, it's fine, Miss Dragon. Neither do I. But I'm going to start trying to come on in the middle of the afternoon some days, because I'm like, can't always come on in the evening some nights. Because I think this live content is sometimes it doesn't get picked up on the algorithm as much. I don't want to sit here spending time editing videos. If I make a mistake or I say something wrong, I haven't gotten a notification that I have anything. I need to go check the mailbox. I have like informed delivery. So I need to check and see. I haven't gotten anything yet, but I need to go. We'll go next week. Or maybe even tomorrow after the thing, I'll go check the mailbox. If the post office is open, but Monday I'll go and check. And I'll give an update. We need them postcards, and we need to spread the word. I will come on any channel that has been a ripple effect of the lifeboat and get on there and talk about the Connection Project. And if Tommy hears about some of it, he hears some about it. I don't care. But this box, the cow box, and I think her name's going to be Rosie. I really do. You mailed it Tuesday. Okay, I'll have to look. Hey there, Kristen. Hey there, girl. This box is going to overflow. You all don't know me. When I get something in my head, it's going to happen. So if anybody has a channel that came and stemmed from the lifeboat and you want me on talking about this Connection Project, I will gladly come on and talk about it. I've tried to put it in the chat as best I could with it being kind of there but not there in the lifeboat. I'm going to re-put it again in the lifeboat group. And we'll get them postcards rolling. We will. 100%. And I'm going to start his blanket next week. I have one and I'll show it off another time. I decided not to do it today. But I'm working on a blanket for my husband's cousin that's having a baby boy. And they're having a baby shower in June. So I wanted to make sure I got that done. I have another project that has a deadline. And I still have my temperature blanket that has a deadline. I handed off 2 blankets that were finally finished. That had a deadline. But I'm also realizing I have got to schedule something. And it has to be flexible. It has to be flexible because of what I go through. If I don't make it flexible, then I'm going to absolutely beat myself up. It's got to be flexible. If I'm at 2 o'clock going, ooh, I have a headache. Okay. Well, maybe when I'm having a migraine is not the time to come on because I have ring lights sitting here. So them staring in my eyes are going to make my head 10 times worse real quick. So do I need to come on? No. And my friends would be the first one going, why are you doing that to yourself? Y'all, we have storms in our lives. Every solitary one of us. But if we don't have those connections when it's calm and peaceful and the sun's out, when the rain starts coming, they're not going to be established enough. And it takes time and connection. So I challenge, if you can't even just get one person that you reach out to. We have these things called phones. They're not just bricks. We've got them. We've got text messages. We've got Facebook Messenger. We have Instagram Messenger. We have all the things. We've got WhatsApp. We've got so many different things. We got Zoom calls. There's just so many ways to see somebody. I have family in Scotland. I can call them by video and see them in a way I probably will never see them in life. My daughter was in school. Now, my grandmother was still alive. She had not seen her nieces in Scotland, her niece and her husband, in years. So I planned the Facebook Messenger video chat. And I picked my daughter up from school early and I said, want to go to Scotland today? And drove home. She goes, what are you talking about, Mom? And she got to be on that call with my grandmother. My grandmother got to see her niece and her niece's husband for the first time in years. And you know, when my grandmother passed away, she messaged me and said, thank you so much that I got to see my aunt one last time. We've got it all right at our fingertips. Let's utilize it. It's free. If you cannot reach out to 2 people, try 1. That's still 30 connections a month. And maybe you say, if they're going to talk, for long, say I've got 10 minutes. And oftentimes on these, you don't even have to give out your phone number. You can just do the telephone call thing and it'll go you can talk that through that way. You don't even need to give out your telephone number. I've got 10 minutes. I've got 20 minutes. I've got a half an hour. Because here's the thing. If you reach out to somebody and say, you doing okay? How you doing? And it's through Facebook Messenger. And you're talking back and forth. Why don't you just say, listen, can I call you? You don't even have to be on video call. Can I call you? Through this thing, we have the messenger, and we just talk. I guarantee you're going to feel better when you're done. How good do you all feel knowing that I'm okay? Probably tremendously nice that you sit there and go, Mary's okay. And I don't know anybody, an hour from me that had their house damaged, but there were lives lost last night, and lives changed forever. In a split second. See, we don't know when those split seconds are going to happen. It'd be awful nice if God could say, okay, can you just lay out everything that's going to happen from start to finish in my life? And then we know when we get to that pitfall or that storm, I'll know how to prepare. When we used to prepare for hurricanes in Florida, my husband, at the very beginning of hurricane season, would go out and buy water. And he would put it in a place in our house and say, that's hurricane water. Nobody is to use it. Because when the storm came through, when the hurricane was going to come through, I've been through Andrew, I've been through Wilma, I've been through Irma. Irma, I was done. Now, if I hadn't had Josh's family in Ohio, I don't know if I would have come to Ohio. I probably would have stayed in Florida, but hurricanes season was not something that I looked forward to at all. But we put the water in the house. At the end of the season, whatever water was there could then be used. But before, it could not be touched. Because then when the storms would come through and we would go under a hurricane watch and a hurricane warning, the water was depleted. You couldn't find water. We had water to get through the storm. When we went through Wilma, the eye went right directly over my grandmother's house. And the eye went through, and on the second half of the storm, the patio that survived Andrew and other storms buckled under a tornado that we feel ran right through. There was twisted metal, trees ripped up from the soil. Big, huge. I mean, my daughter's standing and she's like this tall and the thing's like this big. Okay? And the power was out for a week. And I was working in a hotel and I had to go stay at the hotel and sleep because we had curfew at night. So they needed me and I would go answer the phones at the hotel. But then I had to stay there because my shift would go to 11 o'clock and you couldn't go home, so you had to go stay in a room. See, y'all, when the storm hits, we need to be prepared. And we need to be prepared by making connections. When a storm hits, you can either say, I don't need to put those hurricane shutters up. Next thing you know, there's something breaking a window. But when a hurricane happens, and you put those hurricane shutters up, then are you preparing? Do you already have everything you need inside that house? Your water, your food, your batteries, your flashlights. You're preparing for a storm. Well, we need to put people in our lives when there's no storm, so that when the storm hits, we can pull on those reserves. You put gas in your car, you do all the things. There's not much time to prepare for a tornado. So depending on whether the storm is coming and you can see it coming and sometimes you can't, you need to have your resources and your stuff prepped. That's what connection does. It is so important. It is the focus of this channel. Crochet isn't. What are you blessed to do? But it's not the focus. Focus is connection. And a granny square is beautiful. If anybody is in crochet world, they know what a granny square is. But how, if you make 20 or 30 granny squares, we all know we have to connect them. We don't just put them out and go, whoosh, throw them on the floor and they'll somehow magically connect. No, you have to take and connect them, each one, by themselves, each thread, each stitch. That's what part of making connections are and friends are. That's why this connection project is so much here in my heart. It is so important because I want people to realize the power of this thing. Thank you all for those that reached out to me last night. Thank you all for those that prayed. Thank you all for showing up here and making sure Mary's okay. And I'm okay. And if you're not okay and you need somebody to come in, just reach out. There is tons of people in the lifeboat that are here for one purpose. They know that connection keeps them from using drugs, using alcohol, eating stuff they shouldn't, doing things they shouldn't do. And it also brings them joy. It puts a smile on their face. Tommy was talking about that last night. Smile. My husband goes in the bathroom. He says, I smile at myself once a day. Helps with my depression. It looks ridiculous, but he does it for nobody else but himself. Like I said yesterday, I was out there trying to get my phone to work, right? And we have a ring cam. And I was standing out there, and you can use audio on it. And he goes, hey, beautiful. And I about smiled. Big, big smile. Doesn't take much. And it doesn't take much to just pop into somebody's messenger. Say, how you doing? Does it? Oh, we don't want to bother them. Bother them. Bother them. It's okay. I guarantee you they are not going to feel bothered. Why don't picking somebody out and saying once a week, you're it. Tag, you're it, my friend. I'm going to call you and we're just going to chit chat for about a half an hour. You got a half an hour? We have to make an effort. Yes, you can spread the kindness everywhere. You can spread the connection everywhere. I don't have one handy, but I'll have to bring it on. I can have 2 skeins or 2 cakes of yarn sitting on a table for the next year. I can wish that it will magically make into something beautiful. At the end of the year, it is still going to be a cake and a skein of yarn. It will have not changed its form whatsoever. If I don't take the time to pull out my crochet hooks and make what I'm going to make with it, it is still going to be the same as it started off the first of the year. It's not changing. It's not going anywhere. I have to take the time to make it out of something other than just yarn. I have to make it into something beautiful. So if we don't take the time to form those connections, they're just going to sit there like the skeins of yarn. I've got a whole shelf, a whole cabinet full of yarn. It's going to sit there just in its state it is until I choose to take the time to do something with it. If you don't take the time to get on the phone and call somebody and connect with them, you're not going to build the bridges of friendship. And Kelly B, if you need practice with it, I will not be available this afternoon or tomorrow, or probably toast on Sunday. But if you need somebody, you and I are friends on Facebook, call me up. If you don't keep doing it, then you're not going to be comfortable. Go watch my first video. Go watch my first live. I was sunk down like this. I didn't have the greatest background. Go watch that first live, and I'm keeping it up there. I want to see my growth. Go watch it. Am I a lot more confident now? Would I have showed my garage then? Absolutely not. I wouldn't have opened up my garage at the first show. First thing I did. I've changed. I've gotten a lot more confident because I keep making myself do it. And I have friends that are supporting me and telling me what a good job I'm doing. Go watch that first one. If you don't do it, you're not going to be confident. My first hat that I ever crocheted was terrible. Now, I do a lot of really good crochet. But it took time. And it took repetitive over and over and over again. And eventually, you'll get more comfortable. Don't focus on talking on the phone. Focus on the connection that's happening between the person on the other side. You are making a connection by calling somebody on the phone. Don't focus on the fact that you hate talking on the phone. Focus on the person. You'll look good. And then you can tell me if I've improved. Go focus on the person on the other side. If you're focused on that, then you're not going to be focused on going, I hate talking on this thing. I hate doing this. I hate going to the dentist. I've been putting it off for about 6 months. I need to go to the dentist. I loathe it. But it's got to get done. I hated to think about going in the garage. I couldn't have done it on my own or by myself. No way in heck and high water. I sat on a chair and I went through boxes and I did what I could and I stopped when I needed to stop. Couldn't have done any of it. Do I really want to go in that garage and do anything? No. But do I really want to spend $74 a month on a storage unit that we can store here in the garage? No, I don't want to spend the $74. Because in April, the end of April, our rent goes up. So that money that's being used in a storage unit right now, I have to use to pay rent. Because we decided we didn't want to move for another 15 months. And then we'll see from there. Yes, last night I could have focused on the storm. I could have really jumped up the anxiety because my nerves were going like crazy. I didn't focus on that. I focused on connection. I focused on my crochet. I focused on other things beside the storm outside. I had somebody come on my live a couple days ago that wanted to focus on the fact that I didn't wear chapstick. My pearls, oh my pearls. If that's all you can focus on, you don't need to be here. Because you're not focusing on the topic I'm talking about. Because to me, that's 10 times more important than the person you're looking at. My focus for this is not, oh, I want to focus on me. I want you to focus on connection. And stepping outside your comfort zone. And doing maybe that doesn't come easy for you, that if you do it enough over and over again, it will be easy. Yeah. Kelly B, somebody was focusing on the fact that I wasn't wearing chapstick. And that she wasn't trying to be mean. And Chow Yun Smut, I told her about it because she had a rough time a couple nights ago with some things that happened. And she said, you should have said, yes, chapstick. You should have said, oh, my pearls, my pearls. So I thought, oh boy, that was a great response. Yep. There was a lot of friends that stuck up for me and said, You're doing fine and we don't see anything. But apparently I needed to use chapstick because my lips looked dry. I was like, okay, whatever. And she has since been she may be watching and that's fine, but she has since been blocked because I just thought if that's all you can focus on, you don't need to be here. But I'm like, I laughed it off, and I now look at it going, oh, I just might put some chapstick in my drawer and just do it and say, here you go, let's make a funny out of it. I don't know if I could have handled that when I first started. Now I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm using that. Oh, my pearls, my pearls. I'm going to steal it from Aaron. But if you're focused here, you're not focused on what's happening in the chat. I don't want you to focus on me. I want you to focus on the people in the chat. Kind of awesome. Cake batter flavored chapstick. Oh, thank you. My husband thinks I look beautiful too. He said that yesterday, and I about smiled. I thought I didn't really look that pretty, but he'll tell me you look beautiful all the time to me, and I'm grateful for it. So it's 3:30. I'm gonna get off this thing because I need to go have early dinner. I usually only eat one meal a day, and then I graze the rest of the day. So I need to go have my dinner now. And then I need to get my crochet bag packed. Crochet bag packed. And then I need to go get thank you, Kelly B. I need to go focus on my necklace. Well, just keep showing it off, girl. I focus on you. It does not get focused on your necklace, Miss Dragon. Get my crochet bag packed, and then I need to go have something to eat, and then I need to go start getting ready at 4:30. So you all have a beautiful day. Thank you to everybody who lifted me up in prayer last night and reached out to me. And we are safe, and we are okay. And I hope that this was helpful to think about the storm maybe in a different way. And I think maybe it's a topic. We will do repeated topics because there are certain things I could probably keep talking about this topic. It's a topic that can be talked about. And so I hope I encourage you all today. Make those connections. Stay connected, you all. Let's show love to each other. That's what God wants. He wants us to show love and kindness. Because that's what his son did. His son came on this earth to die on the cross for our sins. Love you too, Kelly. Because he loved us enough. So let's keep also the people that, lost their homes and were devastated from the storms last night and lives were lost. Let's keep those people in our prayers. Okay. I love you all. Have a great time. And I will try to see. It's a great place to throw around some ideas. And there's going to be times I'm going to come on here and go, I have no idea what to talk about. Somebody find a topic. And I'll see if I can take some pictures and put that up with the little event I'm going to. We'll see. We'll see what I can do. But I'm just going to go and enjoy the connections and meeting some other people. And I love you all. Have a great, great afternoon. Stay safe. And you're running to the post office. I love it. Let's get the word out about those postcards, please. I can't do it by myself. Stay connected. I love y'all. Have a great day. And find somebody, one person I challenge you today to get connected with. One person. Love you all. Stay connected. Bye.